NFL insider Jeff Darlington here in the Honda Insider Report on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's hit on the Dolphins a little bit here. Kyle Van Noy, Byron Jones, they've made some interesting maneuvers. They had the most cap space coming in. And now a report from your former colleague and my current, Ian Rappaport, saying that the Dolphins' first guy that they reached out to for an in-house visit that clearly is not going to happen because of the new regulations involving the fight against COVID-19. Tua, how about them apples? You could knock me over with a feather on that one, right, Jeff?
Oh, yeah. Tua is definitely a fascinating and intriguing spot for – and the most interesting part about the idea of Tua to Miami is that, like, it's so funny because a year ago it was like the whole tank for Tua thing. You were going to have the number one pick, and the Dolphins seemed very much on track to have that. And now all of a sudden the question becomes, okay, the Dolphins didn't exactly succeed in their tanking, and Tua had some unforeseen circumstances. Could that marriage still take place? I still think it's going to require getting to 3.
Yep.
And I don't know this, but it feels to me like if you've got the Chargers that's sitting at 6, and they're a team in Anthony Lynn that now didn't get Tom Brady, and seemingly even before the Brady stuff was going on, coveted a quarterback with Tua's escapability. If I'm the Dolphins, I'm a little nervous about the Chargers trying to make that move to number 3 or even number 2, even though it feels like I still feel like the pressure point is going to be that 3rd pick that the Lions have.
But right, exactly. But at least you've got the draft capital. You didn't tank hard enough to. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the anti-tanker. I mean, he's the ultimate anti-tanker, right? And it was exciting, and they still had enough losses, for the lack of a better phrase, to be sitting there at 5. But they still have enough. There's no way the Chargers could compete with Greer and company for the most attractive package that the Lions can receive. And also, Miami's one step closer. So if they want Okudah to fill the hole that clearly the acquisition of Darius Slay from them to Philadelphia today, that's the one that kind of makes sense. The question is, though, is where does Washington play in all this? Because they could trump the Lions right now and say, look, we've got a lot of holes to fill, too. We'll drop down to 5. We'll forfeit our ability to get Chase Young, but we could get a whole bunch of draft choices and some other talented kids in this deep draft. What do you think Washington's mindset is right now, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that, like normally I would say, look, if you've got conviction in Young, you go get him. But at this stage, if Tua's medicals continue to come back clean as they have so far, and you've got the most valuable position in the draft with a player of the greatest value in a quarterback that people notoriously overpay for, yeah, you got to listen to offers. And, if the Dolphins and the Chargers are two teams trying to leverage against, trying to get up there and then throw in maybe another team somewhere in there, all of a sudden, not only are you in a position that's coveted, but you've got the potential to just take a team to the bath. And I think that's where they've got to, I respect when Ron Rivera says, we're looking at Tua, we're looking at, doing all of our homework. And, you can talk about Chase Young and you can talk about Tua, but the third option on that board for the Redskins, which is to just get a haul of picks, I mean, I think you cannot disregard that if you're Washington.
I know, right? I hear you. I mean, I think we're right now, Jeff, having the conversation that's going to be had over the next 5 weeks. I mean, and this thing's only going to heat up anymore. So let's just raise the roof then and say, what about the Bengals? Is it possible that they don't take Burrow, they take Tua instead? Like, at what point do we hear that part of the conversation, if at all?
Right. I'm sure we'll have it. The only thing I'd say is just talking to people, and I mean, this is, how long do those meetings go at the Combine? Like 15 minutes or something?
Correct. Well, that's all you need.
Talking to people, somebody who was in there in that meeting, just sounded so impressed by him and said that the room was so impressed by Burrow. The line that he gave me was he was like a 15-year veteran in there. He was exceptional. So it certainly felt like it was trending as if there was a chemistry that existed between Burrow and the Bengals that maybe we didn't expect early on just because of the Bengals' history. It feels like it's trending toward Burrow to the Bengals. But, hey, man, crazier things have happened, and I will certainly treasure the moment when you are sitting behind that desk and the first pick comes in. if it is something other than Joe Burrow.
I know that would be quite the stunner.